Once upon a time, in the 1960s, in a world divided by skin color, there lived a man named James Carter. James grew up in a small town with big dreams. From a young age, he showed incredible talent with numbers and problem solving. James dreamed of owning property and helping others, especially people in his community who were struggling under an unfair system. But in America at that time, black people faced barriers at every turn. They were denied opportunities to own property in certain areas, get fair loans, or build wealth like others could. Despite these challenges, James wasn't someone who gave up easily. He believed that if he could just find the right way, he could break through the walls society had built. James worked hard, studied everything he could about real estate, and planned to use his skills to change lives. But time and time again, he was turned away just because of the color of his skin. One day, James met a man named Mike Davis, a wealthy and street-smart entrepreneur. Mike was older and more experienced, with a sharp tongue and a love for taking risks. Like James, Mike was tired of seeing the world hold people like them back. The two men quickly became friends and decided to team up. Together, they knew they could accomplish something great. James had the brains and the vision, and Mike had the money and charisma. But even with their combined strengths, they knew society wouldn't let them succeed openly. That's when James had a bold idea. "What if we find someone to represent us?" he asked Mike. "Someone they will trust, just because of the way they look." Mike thought about it for a moment and grinned. "You are talking about using their own rules against them," he said. And that's exactly what they decided to do. The two men searched for the perfect person to be the face of their operation and eventually found a young white man named Tom Sanders. Tom was a handyman, honest, hardworking, but with no experience in business. He wasn't rich, confident, or polished, but he had one thing they didn't: the ability to walk into any room and be treated with respect. James and Mike trained Tom in everything he needed to know. They taught him how to speak like a businessman, how to dress sharply, and how to negotiate deals. They even practiced handshakes and how to order expensive meals at restaurants. Before long, Tom was ready to step into the role. The plan began. Tom walked into banks, real estate offices, and high-profile meetings, pretending to be the wealthy owner of a growing business empire. Behind the scenes, James and Mike were the real masterminds. They handled all the decisions, crunched the numbers, and made every deal happen. Their plan worked like magic. They started buying buildings in areas where black people weren't allowed to live or own property. James and Mike made sure these homes were rented to black families who had long been denied opportunities. For the first time, these families had a chance to live in better neighborhoods, send their kids to better schools, and build a brighter future. Their plan worked like magic. They started buying buildings in areas where black people weren't allowed to live or own property. James and Mike made sure these homes were rented to black families who had long been denied opportunities. For the first time, these families had a chance to live in better neighborhoods, send their kids to better schools, and build a brighter future. But James and Mike weren't done yet. They wanted to take things to the next level. They decided to buy a bank. Owning a bank would allow them to approve loans for black families who had been denied by other banks for years. It was a revolutionary idea. With their own bank, they could help people in their community build businesses, buy homes, and create generational wealth. At first, everything was going perfectly. The bank was a success, and their real estate empire kept growing. But as their wealth and influence grew, so did the attention they attracted. People began to notice that Tom, the public face of the operation, was making moves that seemed far beyond his experience. How could one man accomplish so much? Soon, suspicions grew, and people started digging into their business. It wasn't long before their secret was uncovered. James and Mike were the real brains behind the operation. When the truth came out, it shocked everyone. Some people admired their ingenuity, while others were outraged that they had found a way to beat the system. James, Mike, and Tom were taken to court. It was a terrifying time for all three of them. They were accused of breaking the law and deceiving the public. But James didn't back down. In court, he stood up and gave a powerful speech. He told the judges and the world why he did what he did. "All I wanted," James said, "was to create opportunities for people who have been held back for too long. I didn't do this for myself, I did it for my community, for people who deserve a chance to live with dignity and hope." His words moved many people. Even though James and Mike were punished for their actions, their story didn't end there. They became symbols of courage and determination. They showed the world that sometimes, the only way to beat an unjust system is to outsmart it. James and Mike's story inspired countless others to dream bigger and fight harder. They proved that even when the odds are stacked against you, intelligence, teamwork, and bravery can pave the way for change. And though the road ahead was still difficult, James' dream of building a better world lived on, carried forward by the people he had helped.